The idea of this channel is to learn with you about Chile and its wines. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Carolina Rivera. I was born and raised in Santiago. I started working in wines about 27 years ago. And then the first things that I did in winery, I started working as a wine shop manager, was the first wine shop, specialized wine shop in Chile. And I learned a lot because I could learn from many, many different wineries. Later, I started working in different wineries, and my favorite job was as wine ambassador for BSBT Wine Group. So what I had to do is to travel around the world and teach about wine, about our wines, and trainings, master classes, road shows, sales bleeds, radio shows, a little bit of everything. And I really enjoy it. So I have a passion for wine. I love wine, and this is my world. So I invite you to this incredible journey with me to learn about Chile and its wines. Let's start from the beginning. How grapes arrived to Chile? Well, grapes arrived in colonial times. The Spanish brought it. This was in 1548. 1548. And the first harvest was done in 1551. The grape introduced to Chile was the Listan Prieto, which is the same grape that it was introduced to California, and there is called the mission grape. In Argentina, it's called criolla, and in Chile, we call it país, the same word as country. This varietal is originally from Canary Islands and Portugal. So for many years, that was the only grape that we had. And then other grapes were introduced, but the big, big change was 300 years after this in 1850, when mainly businessmen, mainly involved in mining, they will take their shipments to Europe and they will bring back stocks from fine wines, mainly from Central Europe and Alsacia. So then was Cabernet Sauvignon introduced, Sauvignon Blanc, Merlot, Chardonnay. Those were the four main varietals. And also, a lot of French winemakers arrived to the country, and together with that, architects that will build the cellars, copying kind of the French model, having beautiful parks in their premises. So that was a big, big change. And also, they brought the style of winemaking that we follow for many years. Then the another big change was in the early 80s, in 1984, 1985, when Miguel Torres, the Spanish producer, he was looking for another place apart from Spain where to produce very good wine, and he fell in love with Chile. So he established himself in Curicó, but he brought the stainless steel tanks to Chile. And later, we start looking to the foreign markets, to the export market. And in the 90s, we start using more oak barrels. And I will say that those were the big, big, big changes in vinification and the facilities and all, the technology that we had in the country. Well, Chile is a unique country, and there's a very nice story that says that God, after creating the world, he went to rest. And the angels came back to him and they say to him, God, we have a problem. What's going on? Well, we have leftovers of everything. What do you mean by that? Well, we have volcanoes, we have a lot of mountains, we have a lot of lakes, we have a piece of desert, we have a piece of South Pole, even a piece of the Polynesic. Well, God told them to travel around the world and to look at a place where they can throw all that. And they found a place between the Andes mountain range and the Pacific Ocean. And that's Chile. So they threw everything there, and that's how Chile came about. Well, if I can use one adjective to define Chile, will be diversity. Chile is a unique country in terms of its geography and climate. Okay, Chile is a very, very long country, but what are very important features are the four axes, the geographical axes that we have. So we have the coastal plains by the Pacific Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean is influenced by a cool current that comes from the Antarctica that is called the Humboldt current. So in Chile, when you get closer to the coast, you get closer to a climate that is cooler than in the Central Valleys. Okay, so we have the coastal plains, then we have the coastal mountain range, then we have the Central Valley plains, and then we have the Andes mountain range. So as strange as it might sound, Chile has more different from east to west than from north to south in central Chile. And when I talk about central Chile, we'll talk about 2,000 kilometers long, because Chile is more than 4,000 kilometers long. Okay, so we have the influence from the Pacific Ocean, cool influence from the Pacific Ocean closer to the coast. Every day we get this cool breeze that comes inland, gets to the, passes the coastal mountain range, the Central Valleys, and then reaches the Andes, and in the evening goes back again. So that's why we have a very important thermal difference, temperature difference between day and night. And also what favors us a lot is we have a low humidity in our environment. So we have a dry weather. And in summer, mainly when the grapes ripe, also it's very breezy. So that's very healthy for our minds. Okay, so those are the main features that Chile has. And we have all sorts of different terroirs. And we were very, every winery in the past, from the 19th century, were around Santiago. But big changes in terms of finding new terroirs came about in the 80s, from, I will say, 1984, where Casablanca Valley was discovered. Casablanca Valley is between the coastal mountain range, so it receives a lot of, and also the coastal mountain range there are lower, the mountains are lower than in general. So we have a cool current that comes directly from the ocean, so that's a cooler valley. But after that, many other valleys close to the coast were discovered. So the agricultural service, the livestock service that is in charge of certifying the DOs, the denomination of origin, start accepting all these new DOs. And the last thing that the agricultural service did was to realize that, as I told you before, Chile, in terms of viticulture, has more difference between east to west than north to south. So the majority of the valleys in Chile, the wine regions, are divided in 3 areas. They're totally different. For example, around Santiago, we are in Maipo Valley. So we have Maipo Andes, which is the youngest soil that we can find in Chile. And we have a big difference between day temperature and night temperature. Then we have the central area that we call in between mountains, entre cordilleras. And then we have coastal area, which is totally different. So there we can find the oldest soil in Chile, full of decomposed granite. And we call it the coastal region. So let's go back to Maipo again. So we have 3 distinct regions. We have Andes Maipo, in between mountains Maipo, and coastal Maipo. The 3 areas are totally different in terms of climate, topography, the richness of the soil composition, etc., etc. So this is an introductory video to tell you what is the channel about. And also, we will talk about the idea is that you love Chilean wines. This is a place where you can find more information. And also, if you're planning to come to Chile and visit some wineries, just call me. I can guide you wherever you want to go. So my next videos are going to be specifically with a winery. and tasting different wines. And we're going to talk about those wines, but also we're going to talk about those varietals, the origin and the evolution that those varietals had in Chile. And also talk about the different terroirs, the DOs that we have in Chile that mainly are a geographical denomination. So this weekend I'm going to upload at least 2 more videos, but more specific of wineries with their wines. So the first winery that we're going to talk about in the next video is going to be the Martino Winery. Why? Well, let me tell you that the first winery that I visited in my life was the Martino, that was then called Santa Ynez. And this was in 1996 when I was working in that wine shop. So I have a special feeling for this winery, and also the Martino has been known as being pioneer in terms of new terroirs, vinification, and all sorts of things very interesting in terms of winemaking too. So I invite you to follow me and to see my videos. Why I chose this platform? Because the videos are going to be there for you. You can go back to them. You can ask me and follow me. Please subscribe. You know that is important, the subscription. I don't charge anything. I don't get paid by any wineries. I choose the wines that I like, and not because this or that winery is not in the channel. It's not because they're bad. It's because I haven't reached to them yet. So I see you on the weekend with more videos, especially from the Martino Winery. We have very interesting things. So I see you then. Bye.